was a little kid and I was just playing music and stuff, that sort of gradually I became confident at that, and then one year I bought myself a home computer, a Commodore Amiga, which I still got in fact, and which I still use for music, and I would just sit in my bedroom doing, songs. I got together quite a bit of music, and then I was thinking, right, well, I want to do this for a living kind of thing, but it's just silly sort of kiddies computer music at this point. So I just kept at it until I had something that I was really, really happy with, which was a song called Children at Play, which I did in, I was probably a grown up by then, like late 90s, and then I sent that out as a demo tape to various record labels, and it was released by Warp, so that was my first ever single, and that was just like when I realised, okay, so now I make music, so I had to quickly think of a name of who I was, so I just came up with Max Tundra. I like to think that the music I make doesn't really sound like anyone else, or certainly justifies its existence to the extent where people listening to a Max Tundra record can experience sounds, emotions, and perhaps some degree of sexual pleasure that they wouldn't get from listening to other people's music. There's just music everywhere that is very, very similar to music that already exists, and certainly when you've got a record deal and you're making all these albums and CDs, and from an environmental perspective, there's all this new plastic in the world, which is so wasteful that I think that's such a responsibility. You have to justify the existence of that kind of product in the world, and if it's really similar to something else that already exists, then you're just kind of messing the world up, really. You're just polluting it. When I'm writing stuff, if I'm coming up with a basic idea, I try and make sure that it hasn't been done before, or if it has, then you sort of change it in some way. So I listen back, and then I think, oh, this sounds a bit like Steely Dan or whatever, then I might change it, stick in a few more weird chords. So it's very, very important for me to make music that sounds original, which means that when I meet people and they say, what does your music sound like? It's very, very difficult, because I actually can't describe it. Quite often, when you're just waking up, there's a song that, was in your dream kind of thing, and usually they're original songs. And so I'll just quickly switch on a couple of machines and I'll play a very basic keyboard version of it and edit it together so that I'll remember, oh yeah, this bit's supposed to be on a trumpet. I'll find a trumpet sound. I live with these rough demos for some time, and then eventually they coalesce into proper songs, but just very, very slowly, because I'm always very easily distracted from my work. So I could be working on something and someone phones me up and says, oh, a helicopter's just landed in your road, why don't we go and have a look at it? And then I'll just switch off all my machines and I'll go and look at the helicopter and film it and put it on YouTube, when I should be, sampling drum sounds instead. So we've got the rough demo version, and then I'll revisit that, and then I might record. I'll just set up like a clean track on the multi-track recorder, and then depends on the type of music, because some of my stuff isn't electronic at all. So I might go and record some nice piano or something and some drums and kind of edit them together. Or if it's a more electronic one, then it's all done kind of on the Amiga and stuff, and the synths, and just sort of whatever's lying around, really. Like on the second album, there's a bass drum sound which is made by the repeated slamming of an oven door, because I just, wanted an original sound. And there's a snare drum sound that's actually a ticking of a clock in the British Museum. So sometimes I have like a recorder out with me, and I'm always on the lookout for decent sounds that I can sample, but not in a sort of, obsessive Matthew Herbert type way. but just in a sort of, oh, that might be quite nice on that record. I'm inspired by various things, not all of them musical. For instance, if I've drunk a lot of tea on a day when I'm recording music, then my songs might be more jittery. Or, you know, if I've had a nice walk with a nice friend, then some kind of aspect of that friend might come through in the lyrical matter of a song, or stuff like that. Or if I really like a film, then that, you know, I think you're inspired and influenced by quite abstract things, and it's very hard to sort of trace that. You know, like my music sounds the way it sounds because of the experiences I've had up to the point in time when I've sat down and recorded it. I'm currently working on my third album, which is 5 years and counting in the making. At this point I'm very optimistic and very excited that when I finish this record, it's going to do, you know, big things, because it's the music I'm the most happy with that I've ever done, like by quite a long way. So I'm just, very slowly working on this record, and it should be ready in a few months, and then I'll start playing shows all over the world, and we'll see what happens next, basically.